Hi, good morning. I'm Barb Carr, and this is
Jane Hamilton-Khaan.
And the two of us have an art show on right now in the Lino Art Gallery. This is the fourth time I think we've had a joint show. Jane and I do printmaking here at the art school on Friday mornings, so in the past, most of our shows have been of printmaking technique artwork, but we both like working in different medium as well. So Jane likes doing collage, mixed media, and printmaking, and we both started working in oils.
Mm-hmm. We've just kind of worked our way into oils,
Yeah.
which is nice, which is different.
So this show has some of our recent oil paintings, as well as recent and from the last couple of years of printmaking, and also a lot of Jane's mixed media pieces too.
I've got some photography in here as well.
One thing that Jane and I both like doing is experimenting with different ways of creating art. And I think what we've found over the years is that there are so many ways of creating art. There's something for every personality. So if you like doing really detailed work, there's wonderful art techniques that incorporate that kind of skill. If you like doing big splashy things, there is lots of opportunity to create art that way. So I think both of us really appreciate having the Window Art Gallery here as a place to show our work and as a place to create art. So for us doing printmaking, this is the only place in town that has printmaking equipment that we can use. And then the Kingston School of Art also operates the Window Art Gallery, which provides local artists a really good chance to show their work, possibly to sell it. But for artists, it's more really about having people come and look at their art and interact with it. I think that's, artists are usually trying to express something in their art, even if it's just a joy of the color.
I'm Jane, and this is my monotype, which I've made into a collage. And so what I've done is I took this chameleon out of a magazine, and I cut him up, like I had to put his tail back on again because he was wrapped around a paintbrush for advertising paints. And then what I did was I then designed a tree, and I cut out all the different parts of that, and then I inked it. And that this is partly that's gone through the printing press, and that these are, and then these I cut out and then colored them, and then put them on the background. And the reason I like this guy is he is all kinds of different colors, and he comes from Africa, and he changes color when he's too hot, or he's got a foe that wants to come at him and that. So. But the reason I picked him was I'm a lover of bugs, lizards, and spiders. I had one of these on my arm when I was in Madagascar, and let me tell you, they're heavy and they've got unbelievable claws.
We're going to be talking about these two pieces of art in our show. These are called relief prints or lino cuts, and they're a form of printmaking. We've been talking a lot about printmaking, so I should just explain that in any kind of printmaking, the ink or the paint is put onto one surface and then it's applied from there onto another surface. So it goes way back to prehistoric times with cave art. A lot of times you'll see pictures of that are hand prints. So in that case, people were putting paint onto their hands and then printing it onto the walls. This kind of printmaking is done from a piece of linoleum that looks like this. And what you do is you carve away pieces of the linoleum with a sharp, pointy thing. Just carve out what will end up being white on the print. So once you've finished your carving, you'll have an area that is still the original surface of the linoleum, and then you'll have areas that are lower. So when you put ink on top of this, the ink just goes on that original surface. And then when you print it, you get the image coming out with the black ink, and then the white areas are where you cut the plate away. The interesting thing about printmaking this way is that you can make several copies of it. That's partly why printmaking evolved in the first place, so that you could make multiples of an image. In the case of printmaking, you can also vary it with color. So the top one is a black and white print, and this one below is the same image, as you can see, but it has a variated color in it. So the project you're going to be doing will be something similar to this. It's a different way of doing printmaking. There are many, many ways of printmaking, and that's partly why Jane and I really enjoy it, because there's always something new to try. The other kind of printmaking that Jane and I like doing is called monoprinting, or you can create a monotype. And that's where you have a smooth plate. There's no lines on this at all. Usually Jane and I work on a big piece of acrylic. You put the ink on and you just use a brush or some other roller to put the ink on a particular way. Sometimes you can take some ink off, put a different color on, and then when you print it, you only get one because there's no image left on the plate. It's just a totally smooth plate. And I'll show you an example of that over this way. This one is an example of a monotype. So it was done with a smooth acrylic plate, a larger one, and the ink was just put on with a roller or a brayer in different colors. This one was actually printed over a few times. So there was one layer of ink that went on, and then when that was dry, I put more ink on the same plate and printed it over top to get kind of a softening effect between the colors. There's another one over here. This also went through the press a couple of times, and you can see how I've used something like a piece of cardboard to push the ink around and make these shapes into the ink. But again, there's only one of these when you're finished, all finished, so that's why they're called monotypes, as opposed to the relief prints where you do have a plate that you can keep inking and printing several times. In addition to printmaking, Jane and I have been recently exploring oil painting, and this is something that's new for both of us. You've never done oil painting before.
No, I've never done oil painting.
So this goes to show that you can always learn something new, whatever age you are. It's fun to try something different. So Jane, this is one of her oil paintings here.
This is my first one.
Yeah.
And I said to Bruce, he said, we're going to do skies. And I said, I don't do skies. But he said, but eventually I fell in love with them. So just about all the paintings I'm doing now that have skies, I'm finding that I'm really enjoying it. So see, you just keep doing it and they get better.
Yeah, just enjoy the process of making art. If you can think of it as just a fun way to learn something new, play with colors, play with shapes. Don't worry too much about the outcome. Sometimes something will happen that you didn't intend, but it turns out to be a happy accident.
So we love them.
One person told me the secret to art is knowing which mistakes to keep. But just have fun with it. As I said earlier, there's a different type of art form for everybody. You can be, so these ones for Jane and for me, these are pretty detailed work compared with some of the other things that we've done.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So, but it's fun to use different parts of your brain that way too, to work on something
left?
detailed. And this is totally different. Again, this is a photograph that Jane took.
Yeah, this is condensation, and it was a stream of condensation on my bedroom window. And so I got my camera, and so I balanced it on the edge. And so when you're looking at it, this is, I'm looking into a parking lot, and this is where the trees were, and this was a pile of snow. And that's going through the condensation, the photo of the condensation. And then I got it done up here on canvas.
So it makes a lovely abstract composition.
Yeah, love it.
So part of being an artist is the way you look at things too. Somebody else might look at the window and see there's condensation. My window is failing, but Jane looks at it and sees there's a composition. I get my camera. So wherever you look, there are artistic possibilities. The message to young artists would be to enjoy the process, have fun with it, try something new, experiment. We think of ourselves as experimental
Yeah,
printmakers.
we like experimenting.
And you never know quite what will happen, but whatever it is, you'll be creating something. There'll be something there that wasn't there before you did it.
Yeah, and don't get discouraged. Just keep, you know, it's fun making mistakes, but sometimes, as you said, sometimes out of the mistakes comes another idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.